That song in particular to me, but other songs of yours too, they sound very nostalgic. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rochester, in this, the whole area here, a little bit of suburbs, but mostly in the city.
That song talks a lot about, looking at what America was like a while ago, and where it's kind of going right now.
Right.
When you were growing up, did you see that old Americana kind of thing in your life or in your experiences?
Yeah, I certainly did, and the song came from that, a combination of things, really. I wrote the song after I had been downsized from a corporate, Fortune 500 company, as they do in companies, and I was sitting home and reading the paper, and I was reading about how, Wall Street profits were going up, but yet people were losing their jobs, and I just thought that that's just kind of a backwards deal, and that was one of the threads in the song. And the other thing was that, from the time I was in my mid to late 20s, I worked as a salesman, and I've been in sales all my life, and a lot of my daily travels would take me to the small towns around the Finger Lakes, Southern Tier, and things.
Oh.
And I used to love the fabric of each of those towns. There'd be a hardware store, a men's shop, and something that was just unique to that area. And to get to that store, you'd have to go there. And then as time went on, that all disappeared as the Walmarts moved in and shut main streets down and things. And the other thread is about the what's happened with music. So it's just kind of a longing for the way things used to be, and that kind of a deal.
That really makes me understand where a lot of the country flavor that's in your album comes from, going to the small towns. Since you're really not from there, there's a lot of those small town feel in many of your songs, which is really nice.
Yeah, I've always been kind of country at heart. There was a few years that I lived down in Naples.
Oh, okay.
And, I had the old hippie dream of living on a farm and stuff, but at this stage of the game, the convenience of the city is pretty much, But I feel very, very at home, very relaxed in the country.
Yeah,
and
you can tell.
I feel like I can relate to country people real well, except if I had to work hard and had their kind of ingenuity, you'd find me dead in the spring.
Yeah. We wouldn't have like a food supply, right?
No.
Hey, speaking of that hippie dream, you went to Woodstock, didn't you?
I did.
The original Woodstock.
I did.
Wow.
I did. The summer I graduated from high school.
Did that steer you towards playing music? Was there anything on that level?
I got hooked on music when I was probably 8 or 9 years old.
You had a really good story about how you fell in love with the guitar.
Well, yeah, I was at my grandmother's for Christmas, and my uncle was given a '57 Telecaster by his then fiance, who was, my uncle was very city Italian builder guy, and he married this blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl from Oklahoma, whose dad played guitar and brother played pedal steel, and so it was kind of like their welcome. But I remember seeing, I was probably 7 years old or so at the time when I saw that guitar in the tweed case.
Wow.
With orange lining and that beautiful cream-colored Telecaster sitting in there.
They were gorgeous. They were
love
a work
at
of
first
art.
sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's really started the whole guitar thing. But by the time Woodstock came around, all through high school, I was the kid at the dances that instead of dancing with the girls, I was like in front of the band or had my ear by the speaker or something like that. So, yeah.
I always thought I became a musician so that I could still go out and not have to dance.
There you go.
And that's a good thing. I've seen you dance. Oh.
One of the songs in your CD, it's called James Brown. And it kind of talks about going to see James Brown a long time ago and maybe what seemed to be a formative point in your life.
Yeah, it definitely was. It's a true story. My cousin, Kevin, lived on Seneca Parkway. And he was kind of, well, what do I say? I mean, he introduced me to a lot of firsts. First time I played hardball, First time we got a hold of some firecrackers. And first time we got a hold of a Playboy magazine and all that kind of stuff.
What's his name again?
And Kevin. And Kevin, unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. In fact, the album is dedicated to him. But he did. He's the one that turned me on to James Brown, and we went down to the War Memorial to see him. And we were amongst a few white kids in the crowd and all that. It's a pretty true story, you know.
Wow.
And the one that there was a excitement and a fear factor, you know. You get an adrenaline rush from seeing James Brown, you know, and introduced me to a culture that I was, you know, I was a skinny little white kid from Webster, you know, and yeah. So yeah, it's a true story.
That's awesome. It really is. It's a great song too.
Thanks.
Yeah, it really is. It's got a really
Got a good beat in it.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
got-
funky feel to that song.
Well, you know, one Saturday morning I was sitting around like I often do on Saturday mornings with my coffee, just playing, and I was playing this lick, and I said, "Boy, that's a great lick," you know. Bum, 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 bum. And I go, "Wait a minute, that's not my lick." And I said, "But it's too good to throw away."
Yeah, he thought
You know?
that too.
Yeah, so I said, well, let's tell the story about going to see James, you know. And
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's how that came about.
A lot of the songs that you've written, they really do have that ability to convey some pretty deep emotions. I know a song that you're going to be playing a little bit later on today concerns, well, I guess the death of your dog.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
you know, everybody that has a pet is going to go through that. With any luck, I suppose.
Yeah.
And yet you were able
Better
to...
them than you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, you were able to take that experience that you had and put it into a song. And there's just something, you know, about that I've always found to be really fascinating. Is that something that you internalize and then you feel you have to get it out, or is it something that you just can't help but do it and it just comes out naturally?
Boy, I guess kind of all of the above, you know. It was my way of healing, you know. And it was my way of writing a song and going back in nostalgia, like you said earlier. It's my way of hanging on to that that relationship, that feeling, keeping that part of your life is part of your fiber and keeping it alive. So I just had to write it, and it did kind of pour out. It did kind of pour out.
It really paints the picture too. That's one of your songs that you just see it. You know, you see the dog sitting at your feet, and
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's certainly struck a chord with a lot of folks. And,
yeah.
you know, it was definitely not written with any intent at all, other than to heal and to grieve and to get it out.
Right.
You know. And then I'm seeing that, well, you know, it does serve a purpose because, like you said, everybody goes through it and it's universal.
Yeah.
You know, this past summer we had to put our cat to sleep, and I'm standing in the very same room with the very same doctor.
It's an awful feeling.
That so tenderly, actually, you know, put my dog to sleep, and I'm standing there going through with the cat and say, you know, never again. It's just too hard, you know. But,
everyone says never again, but
you know,
then
3 months later you
got
fall in
another-
love
I
or
know.
whatever. Yeah,
You're over at Lollipop Farm again.
yeah. There you go.
But that's that's the thing about love. You know, it can be so painful, but the rewards for that pain, you don't want to miss that.
That's
That's
gonna
right.
outweigh it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I was just thinking the other day that there's no way to, you know, have any kind of a love affair relationship without pain. You know, it's
Right.
part of it.
Right.
You know, it's just part of the deal.